don't like what I say or not, but it was very selfish for Antwon and Deja to have that baby. It's not okay. It's not right. It's not right for that child. I understand everybody saying everybody deserve, somebody get a cat, get a dog. It's not. There's a lot of people that don't need one, but they need help. They need help their own self. So for them to get a baby and give this baby the exact same trait that they have is very selfish. Sometimes it's okay to be like, no, it's not a good idea. And then this baby's already been in the hospital since the baby's been born because the predicament they just put for this child is not all right. And then they're on there talking about, we're looking for a house. You guys don't even have an apartment. And you gave this baby this predicament. You guys don't have a place. 3 wheelchairs?
So here's the deal. This story is heartbreaking, frustrating, and honestly, one of the most sensitive things to talk about online right now. But it needs to be said, and we are going to say it in the most honest, respectful, but crucial way possible. We're talking about Antwon and Deja, a disabled couple on TikTok who both live with a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, also known as brittle bones disease. Between the two of them, they've reportedly had over 600 bone fractures. They need full-time help, they can't carry heavy items, they can't even physically lift or hold a child, and yet they have decided to have a baby. And now, that baby has been in the hospital since birth. Yes, for 8 months straight. Not because of an accident or a surprise illness, but because they passed down the same painful, life-limiting condition they have struggled with all their lives. Let's be honest, having a child is beautiful. But it's not just about having someone to love. It's about making sure that child has a real chance at a good life, a healthy one, a safe one. And in this case, Antwon and Deja, 2 adults who live with a severe genetic condition and need daily help themselves, chose to bring a child into the world knowing that there was a very high chance their child would also inherit that same painful condition. And sadly, that's exactly what happened. Their baby girl has been in the NICU, intensive care unit, since the day she was born. That's 8 months in a hospital, fighting for her life, not because of an unexpected illness, not because of something random, but because her parents knowingly passed down a condition that has broken their own bones hundreds of times.
So people are really upset because of the fact that these two went and had a baby. Now, if you don't know who this is Antwon and this is Deja. I'm assuming that they're married and they ended up having a baby. Now, they both have medical conditions, which leaves them in a wheelchair. Most of the videos, I always see them in a wheelchair. And then also they said that they have a caretaker. Now, I've seen a bunch of people commenting on a video, and I've seen the little baby, and I'm assuming that the baby has the same condition that they both have. So the baby is going to need a caretaker for the rest of the baby's life. And a lot of people just don't agree with it. They said that was selfish. Why would you go have a child if you knew that your baby was going to need care for the rest of their life? Now, I want to know from y'all, do y'all think that people that have serious disability, do y'all think that they should have kids? I know they said that their medical condition is they bones break very easily. So a lot of people were concerned with how are they going to actually be able to take care of this baby. Now somebody else has to take care of this baby. I feel like God wouldn't give you nothing that you can't handle.
This wasn't a mystery. It wasn't a freak accident. It was a choice. And that's where things get uncomfortable, because it's not just about the genetics. It's about what comes next. The filming, the content, the dismissal of real concerns that made the public stop and say, wait, what's really going on here? The couple started documenting everything, every hospital visit, every update, every post, and it wasn't long before their content started gaining serious traction. At first, it looked like awareness, it looked like transparency, but as time went on, people started asking, is this love or exploitation? Are they genuinely trying to connect with other families going through similar struggles? Or are they turning their daughter's suffering into a storyline designed to boost engagement and grow their following? Let's be real. This baby is in the NICU. She's in a fragile, high-risk condition, and instead of seeing heartfelt moments like her being held or soothed or surrounded by warmth and closeness, we're seeing filtered content. We're seeing flashy edits, capturing heavy videos, and carefully crafted responses to online drama. It's starting to look more like a PR campaign than a family dealing with a medical crisis. And that's what rubs people the wrong way. It's one thing to share your journey, it's another to turn it into a series. When you're more focused on defending yourself against haters than giving real updates on your daughter's condition, it stops feeling like advocacy and starts feeling like a hassle. Because while the internet can be harsh, not everyone leaving a comment is a troll. Some people are genuinely worried. They're watching a child suffer and wondering, why does this feel more like a show than a situation being handled with care? Is this really about the baby, or is she just being used to make a point, to prove something, or worse, turn into content that pays the bills but costs her peaceful private life?
Hi dear, you touching mommy? That's mommy's face. Ow! You scratched me! You scratched me! You scratched mommy's face! Ouch! they're beautiful. Is that a baby on? Baby on. Oh, he touching mommy face again.
Instead of addressing people's real worries like how they'll care for the child they physically can't carry, Antwon hopped on TikTok with a video saying they were moving into a new apartment and letting the haters talk. More people genuinely worried about the well-being of the child. Because let's be real, this isn't about judging their disability. It's about holding them accountable for a decision that brought a child into a life of pain. People aren't mad that they are disabled. They're upset that they ignored what they knew, then turned around and dismissed all the concerns as negativity. And when Antwon casually talks about new apartments and ignores questions like how will you hold your child, it comes off less like a family planning their future and more like two influencers dodging hard truths. Let's be clear, it's not about shaming disabled people, it's about asking the real question. Is it ethical to bring a child into a painful, restricted life just because you want to feel like everyone else? Wanting to experience parenthood is human. But love isn't just about what you want. It's about the other person, especially a child, needs. So what about the baby's experience? She won't grow up remembering TikTok videos. She'll grow up living with a condition that causes constant pain, a body that might fracture from something as simple as turning in the bed. Parents who can't physically lift her, that's her reality. What kind of life is she going to have? Will she one day look back and wonder why nobody stopped it before? Here's the part that's tough to ignore. They could have adopted. If the goal was to raise and love a child, to build a family and share their love with someone else, there were so many other ways to do that. Thousands of babies and children across the country are in need of safe homes. Healthy babies with disabilities, born into difficult circumstances, they are already here, already living, already in need of someone to care of them. Adoption would have allowed Antwon and Deja to experience parenthood without creating another life that would almost certainly suffer from the same severe painful condition they've battled with for years. It would have been a way to love without harm, to give without taking something so essential like comfort, safety, and a life free from constant medical intervention. Even if they specifically wanted to raise a child with a disability, their children already born who live with different challenges and just need someone willing to step up. Choosing adoption in that case would have been about compassion, about easing someone else's burden, not creating new pain just to feel included in the experience of childbirth.
Don't like what I say or not, but it was very selfish for Antwon and Deja to have that baby. It's not okay. It's not right. It's not right for that child. I understand everybody saying everybody deserve, somebody get a cat, get a dog. It's not. There's a lot of people that don't need one, but they need help. They need help their own self. For them to get a baby and give this baby the exact same trait that they have is very selfish. Sometimes it's okay to be like, no, it's not a good idea. And then this baby's already been in the hospital since the baby's been born because the predicament they just put for this child is not all right. And then they're on there talking about, we're looking for a house. You guys don't even have an apartment? And you gave this baby this predicament. You guys don't have a place. 3 wheelchairs?
But that's not what Antwon and Deja. It wasn't just about becoming parents, it was about having a child that looked like them, shared their story, carried their genetics. They wanted to feel what they saw other couples experiencing. They wanted the journey, the story, the bond. So they took a risk they could not afford to take. And the truth is, their daughter is now living with the weight of that choice. A choice she didn't get to make, a battle she was born into, a pain that never had to exist. She's fighting to breathe, to grow, to live, and all of that could have been avoided. That's the reality too many people are too afraid to say out loud. As the backlash grew, Deja's sister jumped in to defend them. She made a TikTok responding to the criticism, trying to clear the air. She said the baby was that she was only born early, at 29, and that's why she's still in hospital. According to her, this wasn't about a genetic disorder, just prematurity. She insisted that Antwon and Deja were doing everything right, that they were loving parents, that they had a support system and a caretaker helping them. She claimed they were spending time in the hospital and ensuring their baby had all the care she needed. She called the public's concerns negativity, saying people were just being mean and judgmental.
Okay, so my sister told me not to make a video about this, not to even address it, but I'm not about to keep coming on TikTok on my free page seeing videos about my niece. Let's start with the fact that she was born at 29 weeks, a micro preemie. That's why she's still in the NICU. It has nothing to do with the condition that she has. Then everybody calling them selfish really needs to reflect on what trauma your parents gave y'all, because my niece is good. She does physical therapy. She does everything she needs to do. She laughs. She moves around. She does everything she needs to do. Y'all see a clip of her arm and her leg while she's sleeping. Swear y'all know something about her. Y'all don't know her. She's not on no pain medication. She's not suffering. She lives life like a regular baby. I don't know where y'all are getting these opinions and these feelings like y'all know her or something. Y'all don't, and you're wrong and ignorant, and stop. Like, my sister has did nothing but been a loving mother. Antwon has did nothing but been a loving father to my niece. They make sure that little girl has someone with her every single day. Them nurses don't take care of my niece 24/7. My sister is there 12 plus hours a day taking care of my niece. Yes, she still has to be in the hospital, but that doesn't have nothing to do with her condition. And the fact that y'all are grown adult people taking time out your day making videos and commenting that they selfish and all this disgusting, ignorant stuff on their page is ridiculous. That baby is loved, she's well supported, and she's well taken care of. So for anybody to be speaking on her, y'all weird. My niece was born to the best parents she could have possibly been born to. She was born to parents who understand her and who can advocate for what she needs. Like, y'all look at them in a wheelchair and think that they're mentally disabled. No, they have an able mind. They're fine, and they have support. They don't have to do this on their own. Just because y'all family abandoned y'all and y'all single moms and all that other stuff, they don't have that going over here. Everything is good over here. So before you decide to come up here and voice your opinion or comment on my niece's quality of life, which is great, and or my sister or her boyfriend, take a reflection on your home and make sure everything is okay there. Make sure you don't have no unpacked trauma that you need to unpack, because it looks like it's a lot of adults reflecting their problems with their parents on my sister.
But when someone in the comments asked her directly, will the baby end up in a wheelchair like her parents? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she gave a vague, sidestepping reply. She's getting everything she needs to be happy, whether it's in a wheelchair or not. That sentence said a lot without saying it clearly. It confirmed what many already suspected, but it didn't want to believe. This baby has osteogenosis imperfecta too, just like her mom, just like her dad. Let's start thinking. A child brought into a world already sentenced to the same physical pain her parents still live with every single day. This is where the conversation gets complicated. Some people say, don't judge. They deserve to live normal lives. They deserve to have a family like everyone else. And to be fair, wanting that isn't wrong. Every person, disabled or not, should have the right to love, to build a home, to raise children if they want to. That's a basic human hope, to create something beautiful with someone you love. But others ask, where do we draw the line between love and selfish? Is love still love if it creates pain for someone else? Is it fair to justify a life-changing decision with the word love when that love comes at the cost of someone else's health, safety, and future? When you know a child will inherit a serious painful condition, when you lived through that pain for years yourself, felt the broken bones, experienced the fear, the surgeries, the fragility, how can you knowingly pass that on to another human being? That's not just a medical decision, that's an emotional one. And it raises the question, was this really about creating a life or about proving a point? Was this about experiencing joy as parents or about showing the world we can do it too? Because proving something to society isn't the same as preparing to raise a child. And making a statement isn't the same as taking responsibility for a human life. Parenting is about optics. It isn't about appearances or validation. It's about sacrifice. It's about putting your child first, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means letting go of your own dreams. That's the difference between love that protects and love that proves. This little girl didn't ask to be born. She didn't get to pick her parent. She didn't have a choice in whether she's growing up healthy or spend her first year of her life in a hospital room. And yet, here she is hooked to machines, enduring medical procedures most adults would find traumatic. Her life began with pain, with hospital walls instead of lullabies, with needs instead of cuddles. And when she gets older and learns the truth, that her parents knew what might happen, that this wasn't a risk, it was a near certainty, and that they had experienced this pain firsthand and still chose to pass it on. How do you think that will sit with her? Will she feel loved, or will she feel like she was a statement? Like she was created for a purpose that had nothing to do with her well-being, a symbol of strength for the internet, a storyline for content? Will she look at her life and wonder why the people who were supposed to protect her made a decision that guaranteed she would suffer? How would you feel if you found out that the people who brought you into the world didn't try to protect you from their pain, but passed it down knowingly and then filmed it for the world to see? Calling out unethical choices isn't bullying. It's about accountability. It's saying, we see what's happening and we're not going to pretend it's okay just because the story is emotional. This isn't about being anti-disabled. It's not about mocking or belittling anyone's struggles. It's about being pro-child. It's about standing up for a little girl who didn't have a say in any of this. You can love someone deeply and still acknowledge that they made a dangerous decision. You can support someone and still hold them accountable when their choices hurt someone else, especially when that someone else is a newborn in a hospital bed. And for Antwon and Deja, no amount of TikTok likes, heart emojis, or supportive DMs will change that reality. Their daughter is suffering, and she didn't have to. She's paying the price for a decision she had no part of in making. And that's the part people can't just scroll past and ignore. Some people believe this whole pregnancy was done for views, and while that might sound harsh, the timeline and behavior raised valid concerns. Because the moment the baby was born, everything changed. Their following didn't just grow, it exploded. Suddenly, every video was about the baby, every post had a hospital update, and a dramatic caption, or a teary-eyed moment. And instead of slowing down when the criticism started, they did the opposite. They posted more, they pushed harder, they kept feeding the story. People are saying they're turning their child's pain into profit. They're using their baby's suffering into content, storyline for likes, sympathy, and yes, money. And honestly, it's hard to argue when your entire content strategy centers around a child in intensive care, while the parents are posing, smiling, editing, and monetizing. If you're going to share everything, then you should also be ready to explain. This is really about love, or is it about going viral? Because from outside, it doesn't look like awareness. It looks like a brand built on a baby's pain. They are now searching for a new apartment, planning to move in with a baby. They're talking TikToks about moving, about decorating, about starting this next chapter as a family.
Hey guys, let's change the baby.
Yeah, that's the white. Yeah.
Daddy got the supplies.
Then Marie is gonna be white then.
Yeah, Mama got the baby.
Daddy is that white.
She's kicking, so I'm hoping the phone don't fall into the yard. I got 2 diapers out, because you never know. Let's put this diaper under her. With her, you gotta move very, 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 very slow. So, with Adara, you gotta grab, like, and her little booty. You can't, like, directly move her legs or anything. So, move her little booty. She know what time it is. Come on. Put my hand under that booties. And we gotta slide the diaper under.
But the one thing they still haven't answered, the most important question, is how will they physically care for their child? They can't carry her. They can't lift her safely. They can't bathe her or chase after her or even hold her for a long period of time without risking serious injury to themselves. This isn't a judgment, it's a fact. One they've shared themselves. They need help to care for themselves. That's why they have a live-in caretaker. That's why even basic household tasks require assistance. So how exactly do they plan to provide 24/7 care to a baby who also has complex medical needs? So who's really raising this child? Who's going to be up at 2 a.m. when she's crying in pain? Who's going to change her, carry her, lift her from a crib that's higher than a wheelchair arms rest? Is the responsibility falling on the caretaker, family members, or is it being left to the system? Because love is not enough. A baby requires hand-on care, patience, energy, strength. And when the reality doesn't match the plan, the child suffers like the consequences. That baby is already here. She's alive, she's innocent, and she didn't choose any of this. She didn't choose to be born into pain. She didn't ask to spend half first year of her life surrounded by machines, nurses, and medical alarms instead of cuddles, playtime, and love from parents who could hold her without fear of injury. So while the criticism is valid, the focus now has to shift. Not toward blame or shaming, but toward care, compassion, and accountability for this child's future. Because right now, she needs more than likes or comments. She needs safety, stability, and support. She needs a plan, a real one. All we can hope is that Antwon and Deja realize the gravity of their decision, not to punish them, not to shame them, but so that they don't repeat it. So that they think differently the next time they make a life-altering choice, so that they see beyond their own dreams and start thinking more about the reality their daughters faces. Because making one child suffer is already too much. Letting it happen again, choosing it again, that would go from heartbreaking to unforgivable. This isn't about canceling anyone. It's about drawing a line between compassion and accountability. It's about asking tough questions, even when the answers make us uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, this isn't a story about hate. It's a story about a child who didn't ask for any of this. It's about protecting children from being born into pain that could have been prevented. Pain that wasn't an accident or a misfortune, but a direct result of a choice that ignored the risks. Disabled people deserve love, joy, and full lives. But desire alone isn't a free pass. Wanting something doesn't always mean you should have it, especially when another life is on the line. If Antwon and Deja truly love their daughter, they need to stop making the story about proving themselves. They need to stop defending every criticism as hate. They need to shift their focus from being seen as capable parents to actually giving their daughter the kind of care she'll need for the rest of her life. Because right now, she's the only one who matters, not the views, not the validation, not the content. Let us know what you think about this whole situation. Are people being too harsh, or are they finally saying what others are too afraid to speak out loud? Like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives like this, because stories like this deserve more than silence.